Hey everybody, welcome to the Shadow Main Show. I am Jason, your host and lead writer, right? That's what I am, I think. Lead writer at shadowmain.com, where we publish blogs every week, articles, interviews, reviews, yada, yada, yada. And then we come here and talk about them. We talk about the topic of the week and whatever else. But if you hit the Shadow Main, you'll see the complete articles and some news and all that kind of stuff. Today, I wanted to talk about a upcoming game. So I brought on Jason Cordova from the Gauntlet because we're going to talk about The Land Remaining. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
All right, all right. Okay, I have to confess, I'm on your Patreon following this stuff. I have all of your stuff and I get advanced stuff. I know a little more than our audience does. In fact, I remember when the social media went out with your joking, hey, what if we did that?
My joke that ended up being a 5 month writing
Yeah.
process. Yeah, we're yeah.
So I'll pull back for a second. So Land Remaining is another Brindleverse kind of thing, right?
hmm
So kind of uses the car from Brindle Wood, looking for an obvious word. Uh, but it's fantasy based, right?
Yes,
And
it is indeed. Yeah,
you want to tell a story about the your social media? Haha, this would be funny.
yeah. So I had this like basically on Blue Sky. This was like back in October, I think. Um, I had this like I made this joke of like I think if I made a Car from Brindlewood fantasy game, I was like I think it would piss a bunch of people off because of the way Car from Brindlewood works and sort of the expectations of fantasy RPGs, right? And I kind of and I kind of made this like little like kind of jokey like what would the classes be like and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I don't remember the like Blue Sky thread what the details were, but that was where this idea started though.
yeah.
To be fair, I had been thinking about an idea like this for a long time, but like I hadn't really like it was actually that joke thread where I started being like, wait a minute, there might be something here. And so I got I got going on the design. I wrote the core rules and the like and got and finished the like actual development of it probably in like 2 months, maybe a month and a half. It wasn't very long.
Wow.
Um, I was I played a full campaign arc of it starting in December. So like it it was a joke in October, and I was playing it on the Bad Spot YouTube channel in December, and it's probably been the most like fastest, creatively intense thing I've ever done. But man, it was such a lightning strike thing. Like once I kind of solved a couple of core problems in my head, the creation like started happening really quickly. And I'm really excited by it. There's a it's just to say like it's a fantasy CFB game is a little too trite. There's a lot more going on there, but that's kind of that was the original pitch, right? It was like, oh, what if we did a fantasy car from Rentalwood game, right?
Right,
So
right. And we'll link to the Bad Spots YouTube channel so you can see what it's all about, but also like follow these guys. Matt's crew, just the
they're great.
best,
Yeah,
yeah, best TTRPG performers out there.
I think so too.
Uh, okay, so that's how we got started. Uh, it's so the fantasy aspect of it, you've got the whole, like most of your games, you've got the whole background and setting and the goals are all in place, right?
Yeah. So I'll kind of back up and like kind of give the
Sure.
let me just talk about like kind of like design goals, I guess. It's probably like the best place to start here. Um, I had a really specific fantasy idea in mind, which was I am a massive fan of the video game Elden Ring and the other FromSoft games like Dark Souls
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Demon Souls and games like that. I don't know how familiar you are with them, but like, but for your audience at least, the thing that really appealed to me about Elden Ring as a game, there's a certain part of Elden Ring and games like it, Souls like games, where it's kind of all about like leveling up and combat and fights and boss fights and all that stuff, and that's great, and that's obviously
Yeah.
it's a video game, that's what you show up for. But there's this other part of those games this like kind of world building and lore part of those games that I I feel is ripe for a tabletop role playing game to like tell stories in the same way. These are stories. This is lore that's delivered to you in a really like it's very much like environmental storytelling. It's all about finding weapons and artifacts and reading little bits of text and kind of piecing together what you think the story of this world is. There's no exposition. Like no one just
Right.
like tells you what's going on, right? And because of that, Elden Ring's world feels really deep and mysterious, and it feels like um, it feels like you're only ever scratching the surface of it. You can never understand it all, right? And that was kind of the feeling I really wanted to capture in a role playing game. And I felt like Carve from Brindlewood was a really really great medium to do this because um, if you tried to make a tabletop role playing game that has the same level of like world building scope as say Elden Ring or Dark Souls, but especially Elden Ring, you would need like 10 books. Like you wouldn't be able to do it like in a practical way, right? Because it's so Byzantine, right? And so Carve from Brindlewood is really helpful because that whole like inviting the players to tell you things, creating a structure where they get to kind of like create the world with you. Um, you're exploring mysteries in the world, and as a group, you're going to answer the questions connected to these mysteries together and therefore flesh out the world. And so, in a sense, those 10 books that you'd need if you were to just like write down the setting for a game
Yep.
like this, for a tabletop role playing game, is contained in the vast imagination of your players, right? And so that was kind of the idea behind it. And so um I wanted to make what I thought was the proper Elden Ring inspired tabletop role playing game, and I'm pretty convinced I did it. I've had a chance to run about 30 sessions of it now in total,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it's great. It's so fun. Like I'm like it's so fun. I'm like so into it. Um, yeah, so that was the idea. It was the idea of like using Carp from Brindlewood's kind of like shared authorship and kind of the way Carp from Brindlewood games like have kind of a soft canon to their settings
Nice.
to sort of deliver this like world that is really textured and deep and will be different from table to table, right? Which is also kind of fun. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
mhm.
So this is kind of leading into questions I wanted to ask you. So the Elden Ring influence and your vision of this fantasy world and sort of an
Mhm.
epic, I guess,
Mhm.
um, is built on mysteries, right?
Mhm. It is.
But this seems different than the old ladies trying to catch the killer in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Right. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
that I mean, there is a lot of eldritch horror if you play more than a one shot of those other games,
Mhm.
um, but the mystery seems core to it in a way that is it is it important to you that there are mysteries that we will never find the answer to?
Yes. So the thing about this world and the reason why making it a mystery game as opposed to like a fantasy adventure
Yeah.
framing is the right framing. The reason around mystery is the right framing is because so the way the deal with this world is um in the ancient past of the world there was this it was called the time of the old fire. The old fire was we don't really know what the old fire is exactly. People have different opinions in the present day, but it was either a god or a philosophy or a hero. It was something, but it was something that unified people, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the time of the old fire. And then this thing happened called the dimning. And the dimning was a sort of cataclysmic event that literally dimmed the old fire and kind of wiped out the world. And we are now 500 years after the dimning. So this is all very much in the ancient past. But the
Right.
thing about it is the world that the game takes place in, the lands remaining, in those centuries since the dimning, no one has moved on. Like nobody has rebuilt. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the few people who are there are just kind of mad and desperate. It's a very like empty, gloomy world,
Sure. Yeah.
and you play people called embers. The embers, they each represent like an icon or a paragon or a representative of a particular order or belief from the time of the old fire. So they died during the time of the old fire, but now they've been resurrected into this dead world. They are the embers of the old fire. And so what they're trying to do as they explore the various lands and the mysteries in the lands, they're trying to also piece together what was the dimning? What was the old fire?
Mm-hmm.
What really happened here? Because no one really remembers or knows. And it happens in different
Right.
ways. Solving the
Right.
mysteries is one way, but also like there's lots of like flashbacks that happen. And each of them, the embers, is trying to reach the throne of the hidden king so
Okay.
that they can light a new fire and rebuild the world anew. And so that's the idea. You play almost like these demigod type characters who are trying to piece together the truth of what the old world was like.
Great.
Yeah.
So what kind of brought me into these questions is you also do a podcast, another a
I do.
side
Yeah.
plug, right? You do a podcast with Matt Risby from
From
Bad
Godspot.
Spot,
Yeah.
basically just talking about your development
Mm-hmm.
and how the game's going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a recent episode, you were talking, you had mentioned that there aren't maps, or at least not
Yeah.
like
No.
long form maps, right?
Yeah.
Not big maps,
Yeah.
so that you don't know. Because, and what I thought was intriguing was um, if it takes you a month to get to the next important scene, um, even when you get to that important scene, the way you got there should still be mysterious.
Yeah, I think that's right. So the idea in this game, which sets it apart from other or many other fantasy adventure games, is in general we're not too focused on the minutia, on the details, like how long do my torches last, how many rations do I have, like we don't
Sure.
really care about that in this game. It's not really a treasure hunting game. Like there's no treasure or anything. There's not even money. You are it's a game. I like to say it's a game of mythic scale,
Hmm.
meaning the story you're telling, it's almost like Odysseus, right? Like the game you're playing is the story that people in the future are going to tell about you, right? And so we don't care too much about the like fine details,
Yeah, yeah,
um we just care about the big moments, the big mythic, moments. And so yeah, the way that you might like travel from one mystery to another mystery, and that might take 3 years, and we don't dwell on necessarily what happened in those 3 years, because that's kind of part of the power of the game. It's meant to have this kind of like gloomy emptiness that is the
yeah.
texture of the world, right? And so it's fun for the players to ponder, like, well, what were we doing during all this time? It's like, well, I don't know, what were you doing during all this time, right? And so like it's a game that kind of has like an interesting kind of like time scale. And I've resisted writing or creating a map of the lands remaining, precisely because, well, for one thing, keepers can use different mysteries in different contexts, and so your map may not make any sense unless it's like a
Right.
fill in the blanks map. There's no way you could like make a map to where it'll match every keeper's plan, right?
Yeah, your map
But
is just a mad lib.
yeah. But also, I kind of feel really strongly that because this game is like a game of like it has such a like barren, gloomy, mysterious emptiness to it. I feel like having a map almost like takes away from the power of that. If you can be like, oh, well, this is one finger length away or whatever, or like I think if you get, I think it kind of just takes away from it. And since it's not a part of the gameplay, since travel and like managing travel is not part of the gameplay, there's just nothing like it. And so it's kind
Yeah.
of more interesting to think about it in terms of like myth and like almost like a cinematic presentation as opposed to like a simulated presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I find really intriguing here. That
Yeah.
because I've played it or run a lot of fantasy things where we hand wave the travel
Yeah, yeah,
because it's boring and I don't want to do a hex crawl or
right.
something like that. But this is different, right?
It's different. Yeah,
Because in that case, yes, we're not going to play it out, but it happened and blah, blah, blah. But what
yeah.
I think what you're saying is that the value of not playing it out is that the mystery, like it may be that the characters, after they get there, don't know exactly what happened, right?
Well, I would.
And
I think that's mostly right. I'd frame it slightly differently in this way and say that one of the elements of the game, it does have a journey phase,
sure,
right?
yeah,
Like you do journey from place to place, but the journey is not represented by like a particular geography or a particular length of time.
right,
It's there's like a landmark. So you might or your journey phase might involve stopping at a landmark called the ruins of Castle Bragan, and that's where and so we see a scene of the characters at the ruins of Castle Bragan, and then we do some storytelling. We talk about the history of Castle Bragan via flashback, and and that's journeying in this game. It's not about like time and space. It's about, oh, here's a landmark, and this landmark has a history, it has a past, it's part of what we're trying to figure out about this world. And so that is how journeys that's the significance of a
okay,
journey in this game, right? So it's a difference in like emphasis, I guess I would say. Like if you think about it,
yeah,
like if you think about Fellowship of the Ring, right? There's that really great moment in the Fellowship of the Ring when the Fellowship stops at Weathertop, right? And and I always remember there's this conversation that they have about Weathertop. They talk about like the battle that happened at Weathertop and all the things that happened at Weathertop in the past. It's something that they're just chatting about while they're camping at Weathertop. I love that scene, and I think and when I was writing my game, I was like, oh, that's what I want travel to be like in the Lands Remaining. I don't want it to be like, oh, we're gonna you're on the it's a 14-day journey and we have to have this many rations. And I don't want that. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be, we're stopping at Weathertop. We're
okay,
stopping at the ruins of Castle Braken. We're stopping at this titanic pillar called the Three Faces, and we're going to talk about why is it called the Three Faces? What do the Three Faces mean? Like, what is it? And that is the difference, right?
yeah. So the journeying in your case, I guess, isn't about distance or time. It's about story.
It's about story. Yes,
Yeah,
it's specifically about history, right?
yeah,
And the journeys are fun because like every journey has like 4 narrative prompts, right? But you don't do them all at once. So when you travel from one mystery to another, you might stop at the ruins of Castle Bragan and you do the first prompt and you narrate the little. Basically, that particular journey is about that Castle Bragan. It's about the last stand of this fortification during the Dimning, right? There's like monsters at the gate or whatever, right? And every time you travel through there and you stop at Castle Bragan, you tell the next part of that story
wow,
leading up to the final like kind of fall of Castle Bragan, right? And it's great. Like it's so good. It's such a To me, it's so much a better way of memorializing travel and memorializing the geography and the history of the place than just like bookkeeping.
right. That's great.
Yeah.
All
And that's
right.
just one little tiny part of the game.
I know we could
That's
go
just
on
one little
for
sliver of
years,
it. Yeah,
but you know
yeah,
what? You don't have to listen to me go on for years because
yeah.
Matt and Jason talk about it all the time.
We
Check
and
out
we
that
ran a whole
podcast.
campaign for you, or a whole campaign arc, like 15
Yeah,
sessions. So
it's
yeah, yeah.
really. I think Matt was saying that you went longer. Didn't you plan to do less episodes than?
No, actually, we needed to do more. We actually that arc probably properly should have been about 18 or
Oh, okay,
19 sessions.
okay,
We ended up having to like shorten it because of the availability of the cast, but no, but we still managed to get a lot done in 15 sessions, and we did a whole, like
okay.
I kind of like shortened a few little things that I wouldn't have done if we didn't have that time constraint, but we still managed to do a lot of it and show the game off, and I'm happy to say that like everybody, even me, I was like, we were like, I think this is the best role playing game experience I've ever had. Like I think this is it. Like I think this is
Yeah,
the best one.
yeah,
And Matt's favorite game is The Between, one of my other games, and so that was really, like to top The Between felt really great. Like it was great. Like that journey thing that I just talked about, that's just like one part of this. The whole game has that orientation. It has that yes, we're doing fantasy adventure, but we're doing it in a way that's about storytelling and lore and history and mystery, not
Nice.
bookkeeping. So
Yeah. Awesome. All right. That is about all the time we have for now. But
Mhm,
you can keep up with Jason everywhere else.
mhm.
Matter of fact, where can they find out? Where should they follow you if they're inevitably intrigued about the lands remaining?
If you want to know about the lands, there's nothing on the website right now about the lands remaining because it's still in development. But I do think, well, except for the podcast, you can go listen to the podcast. That is a great, easy way to learn about the lands remaining and to
Sure.
get really involved. It's called the Lands Remaining Podcast. You can get it wherever you find podcasts. If you want, I have the drafts of everything that I have drafted. People can just go read in text form on our Discord server, the Gauntlet Discord server. So maybe we'll have the link to that.
Great. Great. All right. We'll have links to everything that you
Mhm.
want to know. And, follow us on the socials, and both of us will never stop talking. Thanks. Thanks, other Jason, for coming on the show.
Thank
And
you, Jason.
we'll see everybody else next week. Thanks.